Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Dylan, and today we are talking about Hogwarts Legacy. Now, I got a couple of things to go over before we get into the true topic of the video. That being one, there is a bit of controversy surrounding this game. No matter what side of it you're on, you're cool with me as long as you're respectful about it. I'm not going to talk about it here in this video. I actually already made a video covering it all. Boycotts and Hogwarts specifically. I will link that in the description box down below. Feel free to go check that out. Two, I'm not a big Harry Potter fan. I've watched all the movies and I read the first book when I was like 8 years old. Other than that, I really have no attachment to this IP. So something to keep in mind as we're going through the video. And lastly, this game is really long. This is like a 25 to probably 70 plus, if not 100 plus hour long game, depending on how much side stuff you want to do. So I've not finished the game. I've honestly not finished the game, but I have played enough to have a firm grasp on this game. I feel confident in my thoughts, and I think I can give a good impression to you whether or not this game is worth your money and time. So all that said, let's jump into the good, bad, and ugly of Hogwarts Legacy, because I do think there is a little bit of each. First and foremost, let's just talk about Hogwarts itself. I felt like this was the thing that Hogwarts Legacy needed to get right. I needed Hogwarts to feel magical, mysterious, lived in, and I wanted to explore every square inch of the castle. And I'm happy to report this is probably the best part of the game, especially in those opening hours. The castle really does feel magical. I mean, you've got books flying overhead, you've got students practicing their spells in the common rooms, you've got ghosts just appearing through walls and flying overhead. Sometimes they wave at you, sometimes they yell at you, sometimes they interact with the students. You'll have suits of armor salute you when you walk into a room, or statues stare at you as you run down the hall. All of the pictures on the wall are moving with their own unique animation loop. Sometimes they're singing, sometimes they're playing music, which also plays through your DualSense controller speaker, which is very cool. Visually, everything is very impressive. Light refracting off the floors. The lighting of Hogwarts is very nice. Design-wise, I mean, every room feels so meticulously handcrafted and unique from the last. It is seriously mind-blowing. As far as activities to do in the castle, of course, you can talk to NPCs, pick up side quests. There's a ton of collectibles throughout this game. If you see a book flying overhead, you can like zap it with your wand and bring it in, collect it. You get a little lore drop, a little blurb. There are hidden pages throughout Hogwarts and in the open world as well that you want to collect. And once again, they kind of give you lore drops and whatnot. So if you're a big collectathon person, this is going to be the game for you. There is a crap ton of stuff to collect in this game, and if you're going for the platinum, good luck. But there are puzzles and hidden pathways. There are mini games to play with the students all throughout Hogwarts. It's a great place to be. It does feel very alive. You see all of the students from the different houses intermingling with one another, something that I never really got the vibe from the movies. It always felt to me that like the Gryffindors hang out with the Gryffindors, the Hufflepuffs hang out with the Hufflepuffs, the Slytherins hang with the Slytherins, and that's it. Not in Hogwarts Legacy. You see students from all four houses constantly hanging out, talking, making plans for what they're going to do after class. The castle feels seriously alive and lived in. They nailed it. And once you expand outside of the walls of the castle, now you're on the grounds. Now you're in the surrounding open world. Things are just as beautiful, and you are treated to what I may consider, honestly, this might be the best way to travel an open world video game that I've ever seen. That is broom flying. Broom flying feels so freeing. It controls so well, and you can go anywhere. You can go up, down, all around. You can fly in and out of Hogwarts. You can examine every brick and shingle and gargoyle that are placed on that castle. Everything looks beautiful. I was a bit concerned there may be some texture and asset pop in with flying on your broom. You know, you're really high up, you're going like a pretty decent speed. I was kind of wondering if you might see the environments pop in from a distance, and you really don't. I don't know how they did it, but this is the best way to travel an open world game. Move over Breath of the Wild. I can't believe I just said that. Now, once you get out into the open world, that is when the game starts to feel like a bit more of a standard affair. You're going to zoom in on your map and you're going to see, like, yeah, you've got all your little objective points, things to complete. You got your bandit camps to raid, your dungeons to dive into. You got some overworld bosses and puzzles to solve. So again, kind of standard open world stuff. It's not bad. It just doesn't feel like anything overly unique or revolutionary in the open world. Although one thing that they do very well, and I feel like this is key for open world games, is their ability to distract the player with unique and questionable looking landmarks. You know, how many times in an open world game have you set a waypoint, you're fully intending, all right, it's a 2-minute trot down the road to this objective point, and it turns into a 30 to 45 minute escapade as you constantly are getting distracted by things you see left and right, up and down. Hogwarts Legacy does this very well. You're going to see interesting landmarks in the distance, and you're going to want to go investigate and check them out. And there's going to always be something to do there. But let's shift focus now to the combat. This was probably the most interesting and surprising portion of the game. You know, when you think about Harry Potter, high intensity action isn't really what comes to mind. Of course, you know, there is some thrilling moments, some thrilling aspects to the Harry Potter universe, but I was just a bit curious how they were going to pull this off in Hogwarts Legacy. And really the combat revolves around dodging, parrying, and combos. Yes, combos. That was very surprising. Essentially how comboing works. In an ideal situation, let's say it's just a one-on-one battle, you're going to want to pick your opponent up in the air, and then you just juggle them to death. You do not let them touch the ground again until they're dead. Essentially, you will chain different spells together, like you'll use Levioso to pick them up off the ground, you'll get in a couple of quick flicks, then you'll use Accio to pull them to you, a couple of quick flicks, and then maybe finish them off with a fire spell.
Levioso. Accio. Incendio. Super Punch.
It feels very satisfying when you pull it off, but of course the game is not that easy. They're going to start throwing more and more enemies at you, and they introduce shields. So something to note with your spells is that each spell type has a color coding. Levioso, for example, is a yellow spell. Accio is a purple spell, and some of the more aggressive attack spells are coded red. So depending on the color of shield that the enemy puts up, you're going to have to color coordinate that with the spell type. So if they put up a yellow shield, you're going to want to cast Levioso to break that shield. If they put up a red shield, you're going to want to use one of your attack spells to break that shield. I did think this was a good idea. It is a good mechanic that adds an extra layer of difficulty and makes the player think. It can get a little bit frustrating sometimes when you're fighting 6 enemies at once and 4 of them have shields and each of them is a different color, and you're trying to, cull through your spells and coordinate how you want to do this to take them down in the most efficient way possible. But again, overall, I thought it was a really good idea, and I'm glad it was in the game. You can also use consumable items and the environment to your advantage in battle. If you're surrounded by enemies, you want to pull out a mandrake that'll let out a shriek that will stun all the enemies. You can throw a plant on the ground that essentially acts like an auto turret and shoots poison darts at your opponents while you're fighting. If you see a barrel off in the distance, you can pick it up and slam it against some opponents for some really big beefy damage. And then you also have this ancient magic meter that fills up the more damage you do. Eventually it will allow you to press L1 and R1 at the same time and do this sick magical animation that does massive damage. Parries and dodges, pretty standard affair right there. If you see a yellow symbol above your head, that means you need to whip out your shield and you can send a counterattack back at an enemy. If you get a red symbol above your head, that means you have to dodge. Simple as that. I should also note that there is some stealth mechanics in this game. You can turn yourself invisible and sneak up on enemies for a insta-kill. I didn't use this too much. I'm much more of a guns blazing kind of gamer, but the couple of times I did use it, yeah, it works totally fine. You can upgrade it as well. So if I'm ever approaching like a bandit camp that is way out of level for me, yeah, sometimes I'll cull the numbers a little bit with some stealth before I go full Rambo. And the last thing I want to talk about before we kind of get into the negatives, the DualSense controller. They went pretty hard with this thing. A lot of times third-party games, they don't utilize the DualSense controller all that much because it requires totally separate and unique development time strictly for the PlayStation 5. But yeah, they didn't hold anything back with the DualSense. You got the haptic triggers, you got the HD rumble, and you got the speaker all working in full force. Honestly, pretty impressed, pretty satisfied with it. If you're a DualSense junkie like myself, I give it probably an A to an A+. Now let's get into a little bit of the negatives of Hogwarts Legacy. I will start with the least egregious to the most egregious. First and foremost, there's no wizard's chess, there's no Quidditch. Specifically no Quidditch. That kind of hurt. I get why it's not in there though. You know, Quidditch is a big part of the Harry Potter lore, the Harry Potter universe, and it would be super fun to partake in what is essentially soccer on a broomstick. But this is already a massive game, and to ask the developers to then also create an entire spin-off sports minigame that has to do with the broom physics and everything, that's a lot to ask. That is a big ask. So I totally understand why it's not in the game, and at this point I just hope it comes in a form of DLC later down the line. Like, I will definitely down that and play that. That sounds a lot of fun. Next up, you know, we've got characters providing verbal cues for puzzle solutions. This is something we've seen a little bit of recently. I kind of feel like we're seeing an insurgence of it almost. Most notably in the big release God of War Ragnarok last year. God, that game was egregious. It would just tell you the solution before you even had a chance to look around. It was horrible. Terrible. Hogwarts Legacy is not quite on that level, but your main character will definitely give you hints. It is noticeable. It is there. A little side note on this, however, is I'm watching my wife play Hogwarts Legacy. She's a massive Harry Potter fan. And so I'm watching her play as well. She's not a hardcore gamer like myself. I feel like as hardcore gamers, we want as little help as possible. We want to figure it out on our own. And so these verbal cues really bother us. Not so much with my wife though. You know, in one situation she was kind of, I don't want to say stuck on a puzzle, but she had just come across a puzzle and was kind of thinking it through. And then her character remarked something like, you know, oh, if only I had a light source, you know. And instead of scoffing and being like, oh, why did the game just give it away to me? You know, my wife reacted more in line of, oh yeah, like I know what to do now, you know. And she got really excited. She's like, oh, I know the solution. Like, you gave me a little hint and I solved it. All right. She got pumped. So I think it's important for us as hardcore gamers to realize there's a whole demographic out there that is much larger than us. We are the minority. There's a bigger demographic out there who doesn't mind these kinds of hints, these tips and whatnot, that they invite them, they enjoy them. It doesn't diminish the experience at all. Now, do I wish we could toggle these on and off? Yes. Yes, I do. And I think games will start to implement that the more vocal we are as gamers. Are like, dude, stop giving the freaking solutions away. You know, I think games will start to maybe incorporate that in their settings. At least I hope so. But yeah, I don't know. I thought that was a little interesting side note. Next, we've got the morality system, or the lack thereof, unfortunately. I was really hoping we would have a morality system in this game. It kind of felt like there was supposed to be one, you know, dark wizard, light wizard type of thing, because there are plenty of good and bad dialogue options that make you feel like, you know, if you choose one or the other, you're kind of going down a certain path. But there's really no consequences. There are no consequences to no matter what you choose. They are funny. I like to be evil in my RPGs. I like to just treat people like trash. I don't know. I think it's hilarious. And so the dialogue options are still there. They are still pretty funny to like pick on a random NPC for no reason at all.
I'm not lucky. I'm simply better than you.
All right, fine. You're right. You're better than me.
But like I said, there's no consequences. It doesn't carry any weight. After the conversation is done, the NPC is just going to go off on their merry way like nothing is wrong, like nothing happened at all. So a little disappointing there. I do wish there was a more robust morality system. And the last point, and this is the most egregious. This categorizes as ugly in my opinion, and that is this game's over-reliance on gear. This game loves its gear. Now, as far as leveling up your character, yes, you can level up your character with XP by doing battles, completing quests. But as far as increasing your offensive and defensive stats, it is fully locked to your gear. And at its core, I mean, that's not a problem. A lot of games do that. It's not usually a big deal. But my main problem with this game and the gear is that it's the reward for everything. Literally everything you do in the game, it gives you a piece of gear. Complete a side quest. Here's a scarf. You delve deep into an ancient tomb that has not been unlocked for centuries. Oh, you found a Hogwarts robe. Why? Why is there a Hogwarts uniform at the bottom of this ancient temple? I don't get it. There was one time where I'm gonna play the clip here. I was walking along and I seen this little shimmer in the water underneath this waterfall, essentially indicating to me that, you know, you can dive deep here and you can get a reward of some kind. So I jump in, dive down deep. What do I find? An official Hogwarts uniform at the bottom of a river. Why is there a Hogwarts uniform at the bottom of this river? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any, not only is it like annoying that that's pretty much the only thing you ever get from treasure chests or from completing tasks. It's annoying in that aspect, especially because you can only hold so much gear before you have to sell it off or destroy it. It just doesn't make any realistic sense why I'm delving into this dungeon, this temple that is guarded by zombies and dark wizards, and I have to solve this crazy puzzle that only a magic wielder could possibly wrap their head around. And I'm introduced to this massive golden encrusted chest, and I pick it up, I take off the lid, and I reach in for my reward. And it's a pair of glasses with plus 13 strength. What? It just really takes you out of the experience. Like I said, it just doesn't make any sense at all. And you can only hold so much gear, and the game is constantly giving you gear, so you have to always be pruning yourself of these items, making sure that you're constantly equipped with the most powerful gear, which means you're pausing the game every 5 to 10 minutes to, you know, double check. Okay, yeah, I got a new scarf. Yep, I got a new pair of pants. I better put those on. Yep, I got a new headpiece. Let me put that hat on, you know, to increase my offense and all that good stuff. It just takes a lot of time out of it. It takes you out of the game. It's by far the most annoying and the weakest aspect of Hogwarts Legacy. One positive thing I will say about the gear is it all does look very cool, and there is a robust transmog system in the game. So if you get a piece of gear and you don't like how it looks, you can just change it to look like any other piece of gear that you've had in the past. So that is its one saving grace. It does look really cool, and there's a great transmog system, but the game's just so damn reliant on these gear pieces. I mean, give me some consumable items out of a treasure chest. Give me just some gold, some money. Give me some gems that you can slot into my armor or into my weapons to increase, you know, my strength and customize it a little bit. They don't have this in the game, but introduce other wands that are more proficient in different types of spells, you know, offensive or defensive, whatever. There's other things that they could be putting in these treasure chests that they just don't. And it just doesn't, it's just so dumb. It offers that sense of progression, sure, but at what cost? Well, guys, I think that's all I've got to say on this one. Ultimately, yeah, I do think Hogwarts Legacy is a good game. I do think it is worth your time and your money, even at the full $70 price point. I'm definitely getting a lot of enjoyment out of it, even though I'm not a huge Harry Potter fan. I will note that if you are a Harry Potter fan, you're gonna freaking love this thing. I mean, you've probably already played it and beaten it like 3 times by now anyways. But in case you haven't, yes, you should buy and you should play it, because it is full of Hogwarts Easter eggs and goodies that you will definitely enjoy. So leave a comment down below. Have you or have you not played Hogwarts Legacy? Are you a Harry Potter fan, and has that affected your experience? What is some of your favorite or maybe least favorite aspects of the game? Let me know. We'll talk about it. Otherwise, guys, have a great rest of your day. I will catch you on the next one. Peace.